Hello, every pony, and welcome back to Fandom Fridays, where we proceed to check out all the fanfics that are not pony related. Why? Because Gundam's getting a live action movie! Oh, fudge! Okay, I'll admit, I'm of two worlds of this. On the one hand, Gundam's awesome. It's a great series. It's pretty dang cool, well written, and all that. And with American writing, maybe they'll be able to appropriately illustrate how war is hell, and that they'll show what the effects have on a child like Amuro, and will proceed to go in depth on the meaning of war and how much and what's is better, and all the other things that Gundam touches upon. On the other hand, Dragon Ball Evolution, it definitely has said hi to me, and I am scared. Oh well. At least it's not as bad as doing a crossover between Evagelion and Gundam. And that is the segue! So hit it! Yes, we're about to do Mobile Fire and Evangelion. Yes, I said Eva. Evangelion. Mobile Fire. Teach it as you will. Mobile Fire and Evangelion by Ultrasonic 007. That is either a James Bond knockoff or Psychus finally reads Ultra Instinct mode. And I swear if there's fan art of that, I am going to scream. September 15th, 2015. Test Chamber. AGTT Nerve 1, Tokyo 3, Japan. Initiate activation system, Phase 2. Pilot link up initiated. Synapse inverted. Nerve junctions connected. All circuits online. All nerve links check out normal. Preparing for third stage connection. Nearing absolute hard line. 0.07, 0.5, 0.3, 0.1. The calm, periodic beeping suddenly transformed into a roaring klaxon. The orderly buildup of lights and sound reverts to chaotic fashion, and then dicing panic. Impulses are flowing backwards! The sound of rising metal. We have projections in the central nervous system! The emergency shutdown signal's been ignored! Unit 00 is moving on its own! The coffee maker is broken! Professor Gendo Ikari resisted the urge to call the tech an idiot. He could see the Evangelion moving just fine. Thank you very much. The crash of female and male echoes through the monitoring station around him. The pale halogen lights contrasting with the flashing yellows, reds, and greens of the equipment. Through the reinforced safety glass, the same shade of orange as his glasses, he could see the equally orange Unit 00 breaking free of its restraints. An animalistic roar echoed throughout the white chest chamber. Evangelion gripping his head as if struck him by a migraine. To be fair, though, given the exact mechanical, biological, and metaphysical processes occurring, he couldn't blame the titanic weapon of war. Hydraulics teamed explosives propelled the power plug from Evangelion's back, whereupon it crashed to the floor. Beast still moved. 30 seconds of battery power remaining! It's gone berserk! Get away from the windows! As if in response to what little time it had left, the Evangelion smashed his fist to reinforced glass. Simultaneously, a long white cylinder rocketed out of the back of the Evangelion's neck, rocket slamming into the corner where it tried to fully escape. Unmindful of this, the orange giant continued its attack. Entry plug has been jettisoned! Evangelion still moving! The techs and scientists backed away. Gendo remained stalwart. Until he stepped aside, right as the metallic fists crashed through the monitoring station. Unit 00's roars were painfully loud. Gendo casually nodded. Rather feisty, aren't you? Suddenly, the Titan retreated, hands clenching its head before it began to ram the wall repeatedly. The Psychon's eyes began to fracture as it continued to headbutt the wall over and over and over and over! EPK, start the backlight suppressant system. Yes, Senpai! EPK, get me a preliminary diagnostic of the first child's condition. Yes, ma'am! Red streams of synthetic polymer guzzed out of the walls, encasing the mad beast in a rapidly solidifying plastic. Then, in a sudden fit of silence, Unit 00 stopped. Power's out. Gendo Ikari quietly looked out the window at the cylinder sitting listlessly on the floor. What's the pilot's condition? Sing it up, sir! We got some simple fractures on the left side, but she seems to be conscious otherwise. Without saying another word, Gendo reached into the folds of his cloak, and pulled out what seemed to be a large pistol of sorts, save for the presence of a reel containing yards of a polymer paste tether, a metallic plate that was attached to the barrel. With the pull of the trigger, it shot the plate out at high speed towards the ceilings, tether trailing behind. A loud clunk echoed through the air as it clung to the metal tile. Gendo calmly swung out the window, his weight causing the tether to lengthen. As he lowered himself to the floor, he took note of the sounds emanating from the entry plug. It sounded akin to a frustrated pounding. On the simple flip of his switch, where the safety lock would normally be by the trigger, the plate demagnetized and failed, right as Gendo's feet touched the ground. Holding the mag gun above his head, the professor calmly let the tether wheel in plate with an audible snap and click before advancing towards the cylinder. Bang! 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 A white-clad foot kicked the door open. The sounds of muffled grunting could be heard as the pilot gingerly extricated herself from the entry plug. Clothed in the skin-tight bodywood of white, the girl ignored the streams of orange fluid in her hair before quietly standing up, heavily favoring her left leg. The girl's red eyes, calm and cool, despite growls of pain that rumbled through her throat, focused immediately on the professor. She saluted. "Sir! Apologies for the failed activation, sir!" Gendo sighed, eyes hidden by orange shades. "It's not your fault. We didn't anticipate Unit 00's visceral reaction." He brought a hand up to his ear, pressing a switch on the earpiece. "Akiki." "Sir?" "Get medical attention for the sergeant." "Yes, on it, sir!" Grunting, instead of rather irritated, Gendo looked down at Ray, still standing despite the obvious pain. At ease. "Yes, sir!" Ray calmly lied down, laying her broken limbs splayed out along the white floor. The smell of bacillite mixed with LCL, giving the air a pungent industrial odor. "Permission to freely, sir!" Granted. "Sir, the third angel is predicted to appear in less than 2 weeks." "Remind me of information I already know. Doesn't tell me what you want to know, Sergeant." "No, sir, but what if my body does not heal in time?" "For now, you wait for the medics. The situation is under control, as always." With that, Gendo turned on his heels, his navy blue cloak fluttering behind him as he walked towards the personnel door at the bottom of the test chamber. Looking back one last time at Unit 00's immobile form, pressed his earpiece. "Fuyusuki?" "Yes, Professor." "We have a situation." "Have we lost control?" "No. We have less than I thought we suppose." "Was something wrong with the first child?" "She won't be able to pilot effectively for the first angel." As he spoke, Gendo entered the personnel door, setting foot beside a small elevator that would return him to the monitoring station. "That's not good." "Fortunately, I have a backup plan." "You were simply allowing an old student to indulge in fantasy. Reality, he and I both knew this day would come, when he would return to Tokyo 3.
You just wish the reunion had been delayed."
Forgive a man for not wanting his son to enjoy his last days in peace."
A hearty laugh. "Always pleases to me to hear you get parental. Reminds me that you're still human."
"Just send the message. It should already be programmed with what I have to say."
"Yes, sir, Professor."
Having said that, Gendo looked silent as he stared at the door's window in the elevator. As it ascended, his piercing eyes took in Rei and Ami, being attended to by paramedics. Looming behind her was Unit 00, the hardened backlight making it seem like a dreaded behemoth pressed against his will. How true it was. Well, Yui, looks like we'll be seeing our son sooner than I thought.
Yeah, I've already said the narrator's name and the production and you know, so the title. We've already been through this. Thank you very much. And episodes. Oh, how cute! You're thinking you're making these into episodes. Let's call the chapters, little boy. Little boy, allow me to handle this.
Sweltering. To anyone who lived in Japan during the 20th century, they would complain about another hot summer day. Now, thanks to Second Impact, no one would make the distinction between one day or another. Every day was just as hot as the last. People had gotten used to it. This is Japan gotten used to the idea of the original Tokyo being a submerged ruin, courtesy of a nuclear bomb on this date 15 years ago. They had gotten used to the idea of having an active military, defending their territorial waters, stabilizing chaotic situations throughout the regions of Asia and Oceania. They had gotten used to the idea of the United Nations, following the Impact Wars,
exerting greater control over the affairs of the world nations. However, they had not gotten used to the idea of seeing a massive military mobilization on their homeland itself. The Japanese Strategic Self-Defense Force, the largest branch of the Japanese military under the command of the defense military, the JSSDF, was incapable of engaging in high-risk combat scenarios. They were ranked among the elite military units of the world, and almost all of its members had gone on tours of duty during the Impact Wars, hardened, capable, and deadly. Right now, a contingent of tanks and heavy-fire jet VTOLs were facing the simmering blue sea, awaiting the monstrosity that sonar indicated was on its way here. The 7th Air Wing, hosted out of the Edo Memorial Air Base, located at the new shoreline where Ibaraki Airport used to be, hovered in position, armed with a combination of air-to-ground and air-to-air missiles, because, really, why take the chance? Well over 150 HFJ VTOLs awaited the Angel. Stationed among the various roadways of the sea were lines of tanks staggered in 2 rows as to enable the evasive maneuvering. Stationary artillery cannons and mobile rocket platforms were all on standby. This didn't even begin to cover the defenses of Tokyo 3. This was just the first line. Silently, patiently they waited. Blue skies, mirrored by the glaring ocean wire, belied the slaughter that was about to occur. The Titan emerged from its form shrouded by the geyser. Operations Deck, Nerve, Tokyo 3. Various holograms seemed to hover in the air, presenting a detailed and real-time, for the most part. Satellites are scarcer than they were prior to the Impact Wars, so their usage was heavily regulated by the United Nations. Looked at the battlefield. Approximately 3 miles of fortified land sat between Tokyo 3 and the expected point of contact, and went without saying that much of the JSSDF brass were so eager to stop it before it got to Tokyo 3. A fool's dare. Kendall couldn't help but wonder if the various generals and admirals sitting above him ever tired of cleaning the relative superfluous metals. Their presence here was, to be frank, a distraction. A conventional weapons wouldn't do a thing against an angel. I tried telling these people that, but you know how some of these fanboys are when they get online. They're like, guns, guns, guns! Some are good and some are bad! Guns, guns, guns! Ask your mom or ask your dad! And they want to use it right off the bat, but let them have their fun. It's no scale off my back if they die! Yet they still tried. I offer you one last chance, Selman. See control of this operation to Nerve, and you can leave us to our duty. A slight winding of the nostrils, shifting of the soldiers' and narrowed eyes. They are visibly frustrated by the shot at their pride. Understandable. All of them have served with honor and conviction during the Impact Wars. Needless to say, they were quite galled by the perceived slight against the JSSDF. And we will not see control this operation unless ordered to by either the Defense Minister or the Prime Minister. Only then, until that happens, this is an SSDF operation. An elderly man, eyes holding no small measure of contempt for the civilian that dared to bark so loudly, scowled. The angry look offsetting the machine green of his uniform. We rather trust that this has proven itself a battle instead of an experimental toy! Yes, quite galled indeed. However, did they dare to think they could sit upon their pedestals, cast a consenting eye upon Nerve? His work, his territory, was in itself galling. Very well, then. I was under the impression that offenders of the Impact Wars had misgivings about casually throwing away soldiers' lives. I suppose even I could make mistakes. Angry mutterings and scornful glares did little to appease Gendo. He simply turned around, facing the images that being broadcast from the swords of the sea. The cool air of the operations deck was rife with tension, especially given the energy readings coming from the Angel that was now approaching the mainland. Alas, he already knew the ending to the story. If it were an actual book for sale, he would have parted it for free. Perhaps with a single again at best. Fuzuki, I have more important things. Contact me when these gentlemen acquiesce. Yes, Professor, remarked our sub-director. Gendo calmly departed the operations deck, heading towards the chambers containing Evagelion Unit 01. It wasn't long before he could hear the shouts of indignation and disbelief by the JSSDF 4 officers behind him. Apparently, the first time that lion tanks have already been vaporized. However, he had more important things to ponder. For another thing, what was he going to do when he saw his son, and how dramatic would he have to be? Perhaps I'll check on the sergeant first. Nanako Hakone Line, outskirts Tokyo 3.
National emergency has been declared in Kanto and Chibu regions at 12:30 p.m. All citizens are remained at their designated shelter until the emergency has been lifted.
And I'm the only one who's actually trying to get closer. Ironic, the high-speed rail, designed and invented to ferry thousands upon thousands of people at once, and as fast as possible across Japan, held only one passenger. One who didn't mind if the train took a little bit longer to reach its destination. No. That wouldn't be quite the literal meaning of irony. He could imagine his Aunt Lisa lecturing on him why it was important to have clarity and focus on one's choice of words. She'd been a good teacher. A bit overzealous, sure, but good nonetheless. Then Uncle Tomoe, self-described champion of common sense, would harp on Alicia for dragging on to the literal meaning of irony when everyone else understood what he meant. His aunt and uncle would then get into a protracted argument that his cousin Annette would describe as entirely silly for dragging him outside to go scavenger hunting with the neighbors and he shook his head, clearing away the fond memories. Look at me. I'm about to see my father again, and I'm fantasizing about my old home. Then again, the only time he saw the man on a continual basis was whenever that day rolled around. The day his mother died. 7 years, muttered the boy, gazing outside the windows of the cabin. As the only passenger on the automated rail, he looked rather small. It didn't help that he seemed overdressed for the occasion. A light blue shirt that was matched fairly pressed navy blue shirt. The latter was clearly made for someone larger frame. Black leather shoes and a matching belt made him look sharp and distinctive, were enough for a somewhat lanky build. Brown hair, on the verge between casual and messy bowl cut, framed a rather feminine face. Yes, Shinji Ikari had been mistaken as a girl. It's not so bad, you get used to it. Much to his irritation and the amusement of his cousin. Fortunately, if his father's old childhood pictures had been any indication, it wouldn't be long before he finally got some facial hair. Am I really thinking about facial hair at a time like this? Shinji plopped back into the chair, groaning at the futility of it all.
No! Vic! No!
We're not doing this! We're not slipping into the atypical Evagelion! We're going to ponder our navels and start thinking about long scenes about metaphysical stuff! No! I am drawing the line here! We are holding the line here, and we are not doing this! Besides, it's been like this for the past few days, ever since he had gotten the message from his father. At least his father was just as eccentric as ever. September 16th, 2015. Outskirts of Oyama, 2. One man's misfortune is another man's chance. If one were cynical, one would call the household of Tomoe and Alicia Ikari a chance that had been misfortune of thousands. Following second impact, regions of Chuko, Shinko, Kyushu had been taken a beating by 3 tsunamis and at least 4 earthquakes. Most of the survivors have retreated further inland, where the Japanese government had shored up in their presence, thus ensuring some measure of safety from the societal breakdown that had gripped most of the world's nations. It wasn't until July 2004 that the governments had established enough to reassert control over the entirety of the Japanese mainland. Tomoe Ikari, smelling a good bargain in real estate, moved his family from declared Tokyo 2 to open regions outside what has been Okayama, now Okayama 1 under the standard nomenclature. The climate had already been quite warm prior to impact, so the climatic changes that had been gripping Japan were simply more of the same for the deserts of Okayama 2. There had been enough land to maintain some white peach trees and grapevines near the mountainous regions north of Okayama 1. Add in the booming industry of scuba tours. The coastal positions of Okayama 1 were completely submerged after an earthquake and split the city in twain, and Okayama 2 was a relatively wonderful place to be, which was why Gendo entrusted his in-laws to take care of his son. Lisa Annette had a playmate to boss around. Come on, Sissy-kun! We're losing daylight here! You could help more, groaned Shinji, as he tried to pull a wagon laden with rusted junk, broken antiques, and waterlogged knickknacks. The dirt road that led towards Oyama 1 was not conducted to the large red wagon, but the main roads were still too busy. All in all, just another afternoon in the ruins of a world before impact. Aunt Alicia's getting tired of all this stuff Toilepo said. Annette sighed in a theatrical manner, annoyed the implication that her collection was nothing but junk. It's history! They're the remains of what life was like pre-impact, and I am not going to throw it away. Didn't she say anything about throwing away, though? The intent's obvious. How? It's a girl thing. You wouldn't understand. I lived with you for at least for the last 7 years. I think I know at least a little. Annette actually laughed about that. Her laughter could get surprisingly deep for someone with such a thin build, but beneath those features inherited by her Caucasian mother, the blonde the blonde had a rough and gruff approach to life that her father must make his trademark. Given what Uncle Tomoe looked like, that was no surprise. Honestly, since he was still surprised his cousin wasn't taller, given how much of a giant Tomoe was. Silly, silly boy. You'll never understand women. Considering his two main love interests is a silent, emotionless robot, and his other love interest is a German badass. No man ever understood women, nor shall they. In a manner that would make Tomoe Ikari proud, since he rolled his eyes, used to his cousin's boisterous acting. Being the best actress in the school theater club would do that to a girl. Whatever. Oh man, you're so boring. Nanette. Ah, well. She placed her hands behind her head, fingers fiddling with her ponytail, thoughts turned to her dinner. So, Shinji-kun, what do you think Mom's making for dinner? There was a good kilometer to go until they reached their home. The sun was already calling it a day. Soon the stars would take their shift. I hope she doesn't make natto. I prefer sashimi, don't you? No answer. Shinji-kun? Nothing. Lynette turned around, seeing that Shinji had stopped. Something in the sky had caught his attention. A bright white star. A star that was getting closer? Uh-oh. A projectile roared overhead, slamming to the ground amidst the thicket of the trees. The collision kicked up dust and sound, shockwave causing their ribs to quiver. A brief moment of terror gripped them, wondering if another war had decided to come knocking. Moments passed, and nothing but silence answered their fear. Annette? Yes, Shinji-kun? What was that? Don't know. Let's find out! Shinji groaned. The two of them snuck off the dirt path, following the tracks they appeared mirror right ahead. Wonder if we could dig into the house. That's the one thing you are wondering about? Annette saw Shinji a sturdy look. No sense of fantasy. No sense of adventure. No sense of daring do. She's not in this. Adventure's fine if you're properly prepared. I mean, would you jump off a bridge without a bungee cord? Or a cliff without a parachute? So there. Shut up, Shinji-kun, mumbled Annette as they finally reached the falling projectile. Possibilities of what it could be narrowed immediately by the spherical perfection of the object. A probe? Satellite? Awesome! The dust settled more, and another feature became visible. A red leaf. Shinji's eyes widened. He recognized that logo anywhere. Nerve? Focal profile recognized. Ikari, Shinji. Turned to spear, causing both children to jump. The voice was bubbly and cheerful, like that of a prepubescent girl, or Annette when she had first tried drama as a 10-year-old. You are the recipient of an automated message from Nerve. Says potentially classified materials containing this message. The medium of suborbital railgun was used for delivery to prevent possible interception by unwanted parties. Shinji and Annette stared. A suborbital railgun? His blonde turned to her cousin. Did I hear that right? Yes, you did. Is this your father's doing? Probably. He actually wasn't surprised. This seemed to be fairly standard for his father. I think the main reason he did it was so that he could get my attention. If damage to person or property was dealt by this message receptacle, the appropriate form for filing damages claimed to Nerve can be found in the complaint department labeled A beneath the projector. Have I bothered to tell you your dad's insane? No, but Uncle Tomoe tells me that enough for the two of you, so you're covered. Begin message. The door cracked open in a seamless manner, revealing a lens and illuminating a blue light. The projected hologram took on a familiar form that Annette boggled. Shinji, is that... Hello, Shinji. Father. Shinji was honestly aghast at the sight of the blue-tinted image of his father, clad in his familiar cloak and shades. He was brought back both fond and painful memories. The time has come for us to fulfill our promises to each other. The image flickered, replaced that of a long-haired woman in a jacket and a short dress suit that went down to her thighs. On her head was a beret, a cross dangled from her necklace. This is Lieutenant Misato Katsuraki. She will be the one to pick you up on your arrival to Tokyo 3. Appointment Compartment 3. Shinji immediately did so, seeing a number of paper forms inside, along with 20,000 yen and a Nerve badge. A badge with his photo on it, surprisingly. Huh? Didn't I have this photo taken at an amusement park 3 months ago? The image of Masao flickered back to Dad Gendo's. Follow the instructions on the paper forms, and you should make it to Tokyo 3 with little difficulty. The man paused as if hesitant. I look forward to seeing you in person. Father. Since he looked at the materials in his hand, mind numb with disbelief. 7 years. 7 years since he had been left here by his father. 7 years of peace. 7 years with a loving and supportive family. The anticipation of seeing his father again was almost overwhelmed by the anxiety of the inevitable meeting and what this message entailed for him. I'm going back. So it's finally happening. The angels were coming. Before you leave, continued Gendo, as if remembering something, tell Alicia and Tomoe I said thank you. You know, for a crazy person, he's actually kind of considerate, remarked Annette, feeling a little better despite the impromptu message from the heavens. True, she had seen the man a few times, but only whenever he made his annual visit to whisk Cincy away to Tokyo 3 for a few days. Given everything her dad had to say about the man, she expected someone a little more insane. Because of my gratitude for their hard work, I'm giving you a head start. Cincy and Annette blinked. Personally, I always felt that Tomoe's yard could use a crater. I felt the yad crater. I could tell the neighbors that the third impact happened on his property, but was being backed by his bare hands. Everyone will be awed, men will bow before him, and women will flock to him. The sheer jealousy that Alicia will feel will prompt her to give him the romantic night to end all romantic nights. Cincy and Annette blinked some more. So really, I'm doing him a favor. Cincy sighed, and Annette blinked some more. Now, her dad's complaints made more sense. You have 30 seconds. Good luck. The image of Gendo was replaced with a hologram on a timer set to 30. Cincy and Annette stared. 29. They bolted. The only other sound that could be heard when the pod exploded was that of Annette cursing Gendo Ikari as the shockwave sent the two cousins tumbling. Well, at least he hasn't changed, thought Cincy, as he tried to carry Annette out of the ground. That can only be a good thing, right? Hopefully, Uncle Tomoe had not been of the same opinion, surprisingly. Now arriving at Tokyo 3 Station, Cincy visited his seat, realizing that the train was about to stop. This is it. The younger teenager quietly got out of his seat, his trepidation increasing as quickly as the rail was slowing down. This is what you've been waiting for. Yet, it also had been something he had dreaded. He had no clue as to what exactly he was going to fight. Only that they were the same class of creatures as the one that had caused second impact. Going up something like that, I'll have to help, though, rationalized the boy. An entire city worth with defensive weaponry behind him, along with a genius and tactical system of nerve. His father would be there. Mustn't run away. Mustn't run away. Mustn't run away. He thought of his mother's smiling face. With that thought, Cincy stood a little bit taller, those few centimeters making a world of difference as he looked resolutely at the doors. I won't run away. The doors opened, and Cincy stepped foot into Tokyo 3. Yeah! yelled Cincy, his somewhat stirring growth as his confidence taking a backseat to shock and surprise, and the other emotion that fell under what just happened. Blazing red motorcycle screeched to a halt on the concrete platform. With a frame of sleek red polymer, glistening metal, good curves, the bike was a man-made beast. The growling engine certainly gave off that impression. And then, since you looked, who are you? My name's Kaneda. I was wondering, have you seen a short guy, about yay tall, spiky hair, red cape? Yeah, I think he went that way. Thanks. Vroom! It also complimented the biker's red jacket. Ah, see, told you. She glanced over around the black shades. Well, I do have questions about Kaneda sometimes. Long purple hair, streaming a face that could pull off an ultimate come-hither look. Shinji Ikari, I presume? Yes. The hologram he had seen in the message was practically identical. At least the image now had color. Lieutenant Colonel Katsuraki? Please, call me Masato. The woman stood forward in the black leather seat, a long extended leg providing balance for a still vehicle. Get behind me and hang on tight, okay? Cincy blinked in response to the order, still somewhat perplexed, and mesmerized, if you were to ask him for an honest opinion, by this downright beautiful woman's stunning appearance. Okay. Cincy carefully sat down in his seat, gingerly wrapping his arms around the lieutenant's torso. Like this? Mm-hmm. You can fill me up if you want to. Susie recognized that playful tone. He heard it time and again from Annette. It meant only one thing. Katsuragi was deliberately trying to get a rise out of him. He could have resisted. Could have, made the operative phrase, given that Misato was hot as a pistol, and none too shy about flaunting it. Misato giggled as he read the bike. Boys, so easy. The wheels screeched as he spun about, redirecting the motorcycle out of Tokyo 3 Station. So, Cincy, I take your trip here went smoothly? Well, Cincy gulped, trying to regain his composure. Thoughts of his uncle help. Uncle Tomoe was really upset by my father's message. At least, the way it got there. That was the understatement of the city. But all we talked about, and, well, I had to come. Then we took care of the transfer papers into school here in Tokyo 3. I said goodbye to friends and acquaintances. I left on Friday night. 2 nights ago, huh? Masao frowned as he veered to the highway, the city of Tokyo 3 looming in the background. You sure got through Tokyo 2 checkpoints pretty quickly. It was the nerve badge my father sent me. Well, that explains it. Doesn't explain how he got my picture for it. Does he have photos of you? It's a photo that was taken at Okayama Land 3 months ago. I'll just chalk it up to my father being, well, my father. That's pretty much how I get by. Masao tilted her head, briefly looking back at her passenger. Kind of smaller than I thought he'd be. Then again, she shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Professor Gendo Ikari, despite his quirks, was the supreme commander of the world's only defense against angels. He couldn't get to that position without cunning, savvy, and a fair bit of decisiveness. And this little guy's remotely like him. It's going to get real interesting out here. So, you know why you're here? Yes. Oh, I'm here to pilot Evagelion Unit 1, Fight the Angels. Masao frowned, researching the urge to do a double take. The boy knew that what was a surprise. After all, Professor Ikari would have to be a real bastard, not even give his own son an inkling of what to expect. Rather, it was how casually he talked about it. And you're okay with this? Since he researched the urge to scratch the back of his head, well, I don't know exactly what I'm getting into, to be honest. Old times and memories of Helicon days came to mind. My father and I, we both made a promise to each other. That's all there is to it. Sure, thought Masato, suspicious on her features. I wonder how much he actually knows about Project E. Not that she knew anything herself, but the kid's behavior was tamer than she expected it to be. The road began to vibrate. Moments later, it rumbled again. Masato, did you feel that? Well, kid, if you want to know why you're here, you better get a good look at what you're about to fight. Masato brought the bike to a halt, staring at the nearby mountain range to the east. VTOLs could be seen hovering over the expanse, firing through munitions to level Tokyo 1 all over again. Their target calmly stepped beyond the mountains, as if oblivious to the missiles being fired at it. It was humanoid in shape, yet bearing no characteristics that could be deemed human. Its body was a forest green in color, easily over 20 stories tall. It had long, lanky arms that went past the knees, ending in 3 segmented talons. Spiky protrusions of bone could be seen over its form, seeming to mimic ribs and shoulder blades. Thick carapaces of the same bullet material covered the hips and shoulders, as if it were armor. Singular lances protruded from the elbows, sharp enough to impale VTOLs, but they were going, because incidentally, the face was a simple white mask of eye holes. The only distinguishing feature was a large, sharp beak extending from the bottom. This gave off the impression of a bird's skull as a child would perceive it. However, the most eye-catching characteristic was a giant red orb large to the monster's sternum. Susie gazed at the sheer size of the behemoth. That's the angel? Third angel, remarked Masato, thoughts spinning as he tried to recall their current position. Only a few miles away from the Geofront Access Junction, but we're between the Angel and Tokyo 3. It's going to be coming our way. Susie didn't really have anything to say. He was staring at the giant, so this is what his parents had prepared for. Fighting monsters that seemed far more intimidating than Gojira could ever hope to be. Should we be going now? Sal blinked down to the VTOLs before turning towards the duo. The eye holes on his face seemed to contract upon seeing them. Shadow! It was actually looking at them. A yellow light seemed to emerge from nowhere, illuminating the space about the third angel. With the faintest of motions, the Titan leaped into the air, A strange moan warbling through the outskirts of Tokyo 3. Flat! Misato twisted the handlebar, the bike's engine snarling as he drove towards the angel. Misato, wrong way! Let me drive, Shinji! Growled Misato as the third angel got closer and closer. Misato! Misato barely avoided the angel's feet. The roadway crumbled under its weight, forcing Misato to wave back and forth through the new pitfalls. Not to be deterred, the angel aimed its palms to the ground. Rapid shriek. Violent lances erupted from the angel's palms, trying to impale Shinji and Misato. Misato! Shinji's eyes darted back and forth between the lances. She only saw lightning was trying to strike them. One mishap and they would be pulverized. Though to be honest, Misato was absolutely insane. Driving was almost as bad. What are you doing? Keeping us alive. Misato quickly veered to the right, ducking into an alleyway. Less than a second later, the angel's lances impacted the foundations of the building on both sides, causing them to crumble inwards. Shinji screamed as the alleyway began to collapse. Misato quickly pressed the boot button by the acceleration handle, prompting an injection of nitrous oxide into the intake valve. Vroom! Misato and Shinji quickly shot out the dry alleyway like a bullet, barely avoiding being crushed by the collapsing buildings. However, the sheer speed meant that, even without camera steering, Misato couldn't turn too quickly without wiping out, so slowly curving towards the nearest building, prompting Shinji to scream for eternal life. Misato only smirked as her thumb hovered near a red button. Hang on tight and leap forward! She pressed it. The frame of the motorcycle lay over the front wheel, slowly opened up to reveal a small pair of thrusters that extended to the sides by 2 feet each. Misato twisted the right handlebar, manipulating the axles that the thrusters were situated on until they were aiming towards the ground. Shinji, meanwhile, couldn't help but staring at the wall. Misato! She pressed the button again. With a furious howl, the thrusters ignited, lifting the front of the motorcycle into the air. At that precise moment, Misato leaned to the left, allowing the front wheel to come into contact with the side of the wall. With uncanny precision, the lieutenant colonel twisted the right handlebar just as the back wheel came into contact with the wall, causing the thrusters to press against the building's rock-solid surface. As she was doing this, she pressed the blue button again with her left hand, injecting more nitrous oxide into the engine. A combination of these factors, sufficient thrust to press the bike against the building, leaning forward to reduce the air resistance, and enough speed to propel the bike forward despite gravity friction, was enabled Misato Kasaragi to figuratively and literally drive Shinji up a wall. The young boy couldn't help but boggle as the motorcycle neared the edge of the building's side. At that moment, they were over 15 stories high. Oh crap, 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 oh crap! Misato held the rail button down, causing the thrusters to disengage and recede, right as the bike went airborne. She pressed the yellow button that sat underneath the red and blue ones. From the compartment behind the leather seat, twin rods extended above their heads, each one expanding out by 10 yards. Instantaneously, rigid wings comprised of durable red polymer sprayed out, casting the wind and enabling the glide. Shinji was understandably bewildered. Gliding on a motorcycle. The third angel, meanwhile, once again beset by the JSSDF, its attention now on artillery cannons preparing for the south. With its former targets no longer within sight, it focused on the immediate threat, if the JSSDF could be even called a threat. Shinji, heart pounding like a jackhammer, quietly looked at the third angel's shrinking form as it waded into JSSDF's defensive lines. Looked at the large wings that had suddenly spread from the back of the motorcycle, and it gazed down at the ground, idly knowing that they were slowly descending. Then he turned towards Misato. Did you have this bike custom made? Yep. Misato flinched Shinji a handy grin. She's a beauty, ain't she? Sure, yeah. Now I know why my dad hired you, dryly thought Shinji, dreading the idea of Nerve being populated by people just as crazy as his father or the lieutenant colonel. Can I get back on the ground now? Sure thing, Shinji. We're almost there! Misato's voice dried off, her jaw going slack as if he had been seeing something terrible. Confused, Shinji turned his head, knowing that the VTOLs were returning for the Angel as it neared the military cannons, disappearing beyond the mountain range. Why are they leaving? No! They're using the N2 mine! Misato swiftly pried the hand grips from the compartment beneath the handlebars. With push to the left grip and a pull to the right, the wings promptly tilted, causing them to turn towards the nearest evacuated building. Misato, where are you? Shinji wisely stood up when Misato pulled a Uzi out of her jacket. Brrrr! 9mm rounds centered a glass window on the 6th floor, revealing an opening into an office complex. When he pressed the yellow button, the wings of Misato's bike began to recede, prompting an immediate downward acceleration. Granted, it didn't matter, because he had been gliding towards the 7th floor anyway. Since his stomach nearly dropped out, the motorcycle flew, opening the 6th floor, wings just fitting through as he came to a stop amidst a road of empty cubicles. The motorcycle's engine calmed to a quiet purr, barely audible over Cincy's packed breathing. "All right, timed it perfectly," exclaimed Masao with a grin. "Yeah, perfect timing," grunted Cincy, wearily leaning back against the seat. That's when the building rumbled, computers and papers falling over. The rest of the glass behind them shattered. Even though they were on the wrong side of the building to see the blast again to mine, ambient light from the explosion was still visible. A shockwave from the blast rolled through the air, knocking out windows and tossing cars as far as the eye could see. Fortunately, Tokyo 3 proper was still several miles away, untouched by the blast. Not that Cincy knew that. At the moment, he was busy performing some cost-benefit analysis in his head. Quickly concluded that piloting the Evagelion to fight the Third Angel couldn't be possibly as harrowing as Masao's driving. "Well done, Cincy-kun. We're in the clear. Let's hurry up and get you to Nerve." Under the affectionate pat of her red warhorse, she revved up the engine and slowly drove it through the building. After everything that had just occurred, driving down the emergency stairwell to get to the 1st floor was downright anticlimactic. Cincy did not mind at all. Medical Ward, Nerve 1, Tokyo 3. "Professor Ikari," "Yes, Fusuyuki." "Lieutenant Colonel Kusaragi has arrived with the 3rd child." "Excellent." "We also received official confirmation from the defense military that the SSDF is relieved of command. The operation is now under Nerve's total control." "Excellent. What's the status of the Third Angel?" "The N2 mine managed to slow it down, but it's already regenerating for the damage. The Maji are predicting to be fully healed within the hour." "Most excellent. Make sure the defensive armaments are set to Delta configuration." "Yes, sir." Sergeant Rayami watched quietly as the professor removed his hand from the earpiece. The room was spotless, without blemish, befitting a high-quality medical facility. She was not one to complain, but the presence of white on the tiles, the walls, the ceiling, medical equipment, and on the curtains seemed to be a bit excessive to her. Professor Ikari's predominantly navy blue uniform stood out like a sore thumb by comparison. "Were the SSDF able to damage the Third Angel?" Gendo quietly stood up from his chair, shaking his head as he did. "No, the damage was permanent, or even meaningful. All the better for Nerve. Fortunately, the 3rd child has just arrived. I'll be going to greet him now." "Understood, sir," answered Ray, as the professor departed. Leave her alone in the sterile room. Medical diagnosis he had received following the failed activation experiment had been relatively pleasant. On her left side, she suffered close fracture in the radius, ulna, femur, tibia, and ribs 7 through 10. Rounding it off was some sort of substantial bruising on torso. On the surface, it seemed quite serious. She would be able to pilot within a few weeks. Still, that would put the onus of humanity's survival on an untested pilot. The 3rd child, Shinji Ikari, the professor's only child. Is he capable? Curiosity was an odd creature, being one that didn't show up often for a young teenager. However, when it did, Sergeant Ayami had this habit of becoming increasingly obstinate. As a result, it wasn't entirely unexpected when the young girl decided to call the medical staff. One press of the call button, and a few seconds later, a feminine voice crackled over the speakers. "Can we help you, Sergeant?" "Nurse?" "Yes, ma'am. Bring me my crutches." "Why? You're not cleared to leave your room, and we haven't received word from Professor Ikari, Fusuyuki, Dr. Akiki, or—" "I'll see to it that you and your entire department are selected for Lieutenant Colonel Kusaragi's obstacle course when the next review period begins." Her cool and nigh emotionless tone made the threat doubly serious. Then again, any threat involving Masao Kusaragi tended to be serious. The nurse's response was a foregone conclusion. "I'll be right down. Tramline 7, Tokyo 3. You are there." Shinji Ikari never tired seeing the geothreat. As a young child, he had marveled at how the buildings float in the sky. As he had grown, his perceptions had changed. He had gone from asking how they had moved a whole city underground to simply enjoying the scenery for its own sake. At the moment, artificial sunlight was gleaming from the massive lamps, casting an entire geofront of the sunset it couldn't experience. Civilian portions of Tokyo 3 were hanging from the ceiling, a marvel of engineering. Tram lines snaked along the edge of the spherical cavern, and faintly trailing away, converging en route towards the nerve headquarters. Amidst the large lake and temperate forest was a sprawling facility. Focal point, the large, almost translucent pyramid, that always seen seamlessly with an identically shaped indent in the ground. What had led to serve as the nerve's primary complex caught Cincy's gaze, as it always had. Back here again. Soon. He would see his father soon. So, you've actually been down to Geofront before? Cincy turned towards Masato, requiring her inquisitive gaze with a nod. I mean, I told you I know about Unit 1, but have you seen it? The motorized platform that stood suddenly on the primary tram junction, which was situated in the tall administrative complex that nearly stood on the pyramid. The warm glow of the faux sunset was replaced by the harsh light and cool synthetic environment of Nerve 1. It certainly fit the scientific mood. Yes, I have. Sal was, to be frank, surprised, given the secrecy involved running Nerve, in particular with regards to the Evangelions themselves. She was surprised Professor Ikari had let a child see so much. That Cincy was his son was beside the point. Huh, you sound surprised. Your father goes to great lengths to keep anything related to Nerve classified. Well, it was kind of unavoidable for me. Cincy felt a brief twinge. A tightening of purple. A brown-haired woman's figured scare. A clenched fist holding him in the air. Besides, if I'm going to fight the angel, it kind of helps to know how I'm going to do it. Masato nodded, acknowledging the boy's point. True that. We have to be real jackasses doesn't put you on the spot with no warning. The tram slowed to a stop. The particular platform kicking into place as the gateway opened up, a large corridor tilted with shades of green and gray. Red arrows pointing in both directions, offering guidance to newcomers. Unfortunately, none of them were pointing to the direction Masato wanted to go. Well, this is just great. She pulled a white parchment out of her jacket. It was a map of a particular subsection of Nerve 1. Now that Masato was up to the task of reading the gibberish her friend called kanji. Seriously, Ritsuko, how hard is it to write directions? Susie took two off to the left. Okay, now he apparently feels adventurous. It's a bad idea to go exploring. This place is easy to get lost in. She had personal experience with this matter. Don't worry, Masato. I know the way. Susie continued walking. Perplexed, Masato took off after the boy, slowing her pace as she caught up. Really? Cincy only nodded. You couldn't forget you had tried. Sure enough, it only took several minutes for Cincy to arrive at an elevator. Masato right behind him, taking a few good turns through Nerve's labyrinthine structure, plus a trip down the escalator. But Cincy had gotten them to a place Masato recognized. Yes, he really has been here. Good for you, Cincy. Cincy wordlessly pressed a combination of buttons, singly the location he wanted, multi-directional elevator to take him. When trying to come, the elevator began to descend. The anxiety was becoming oppressive. The sheer tension was visible in the rigidity of his stance. Masato could spy a mile away. You're going to grow old if you don't listen up. Just relax and take it easy. Cincy was not particularly receptive. His nerves were simply too on edge. Soon. The elevator came to a halt, signaling that someone was about to get on. Needless to say, Cincy's unease once more took a back seat to bewilderment, as another woman suddenly dropped in. This time, however, it was a woman wearing a white lab coat over a blue wetsuit. Her hair obviously dyed blonde. The mane, still dripped with red fluid, was only drew more attention to what we described as a cybernetic monocle fixed over her right eye. That being said, Cincy, prepubescent teen that he was, noticed that she was still very quite pretty. He could have complimented her on her looks, had she not been busy ranting at an invisible person. No, I was just in the coolant pool! As the elevator door closed, Cincy confidently edged away from the blonde. Masato simply smiled, as if getting an old joke. Now, very well then, the mixture needs to be highly filtered contaminants, the blonde blinked before snarling. No, this is not the time to test out a new variant. I don't care if it's more efficient by volume. It doesn't mess well with the current mix. We have an operation that's about to begin, and I'd rather we save the experimentation for a more opportune time. Her left eye, what Cincy could now see was a dull green in color, like moss, suddenly narrowed. Repeat that, Secretary as he growled. I'm well aware the condition my lab is in, but I am not in there, am I? Almost passed. Cincy suddenly backed up as far as he could without breaking out of the elevator. Sal was still smiling. Woman suddenly slid to the side, her whole body shuddering as he yelled, Stop telling me to do things, or I will do them! And then, her face went over a smirk that would almost call deranged. Then, we can discover who shall regret it more! Ha 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 ha! The woman noticeably calmed down as she pressed the button and studied her wireless earpiece. How bothersome. Maji, 00 giving you a whole time? Took Misato. Guy's twinkling delight. Don't get me started, Misato, droned the woman, her eyes falling upon the frightened boy. Ah, so this is the third child. She nonchalantly had her hand out. Greetings. I'm Dr. Ritsuko Akagi, current head of Project E. Sissy stared. Since I know you're going to ask me physically, no, I'm not bipolar. Sissy felt like weeping. Why, father? Why do you hire people like this? Because they're old, nutty as loons. Ritsuko promptly ignored Sissy's cringy form. So, Masato, your opinion? Well, he's actually aware of Unit 01. I'm not aware of any actually piloting experience, though. The doctor snored as the elevator came to a halt. Well, of course not. We have records on that sort of thing if he had. We're operating with a blank slate here. I can only operate off of your opinion. The lieutenant colonel rolled her eyes. Used to her frenzied synergies. Well, let's see then. The reporter from Marduk seemed to be optimistic about his chances. Oh, and I kind of put him through the ringer on the way here. Masao scratched the back of her head since he twitched. The reflexive accent nearly making him fall over. I can't wait till you view the surveillance logs. Splendid! Superb! Dr. Kiki briefly reviewed a few of the new digital files, followed the apparatus over her right eye. Well, the Type B equipment has been fully implemented, though we won't know its effectiveness until we have a live combat test. The doctor began muttering to herself, as though conducting a debate concerning the various ways O1 could go haywire. At that point, he noticed Sensei walking ahead. He seems to know the way, remarked Masato as it followed him. Your all into the room of violet red, due to the presence of a massive tank coolant situated to the side. An escalator steps up towards another terminal. Anyway, I think the little guy has what it takes. Besides, they didn't have a choice other way, given Ray's injuries. Dr. Kingi thumped thoughtfully, bringing a hand up to her earpiece. Ibuki, regarding Unit 01's activation, what are the probabilities of being reported by the Maji? Pause. There's a chance it could work? Another pause, followed by winding eyes. Repeat that! allowed Blinken. How many zeros? Michigan promptly turned toward Masao. Fool! It'll never work! Since when have the Mazi been right about anything? Before Risco could go on a rant, Masao added, About me. Risco's silence was it had it all. Mazi had concluded at various times that Masao's very seriousness was a statistical impossibility. Her driving feats had been analyzed and deemed physically impossible. Masao counted it as a victory. Since he ignored the matter between the two women behind him, eyes focusing mainly on the tank of coolant, to his transparent walls, he could make out the murky outline of an arm. There it is. The escalator came to an end. Since he calmly stepped towards the nearest door, swiping his nerve ID badge through his hastened card reader, that the door opened was no surprise. After all, he could remember his father doing the same thing many times. This is it! Without waiting for Masato or Dr. Kiki, the boy calmly stepped onto the breach. Outskirts of Tokyo 3. Where? The entity that humanity had dubbed the Third Angel gazed upon the mass of metal and rock that was known as Tokyo 3. Senses extended, searing and perceiving on levels beyond those of any organism on Earth. Fortunately, it was experiencing an approximation to what humans called interference. The contours upon which the essence of the universe circulated and curved around the sphere underneath the city, unable to permeate it. Vague sparks of energy leaped through the sphere, imperceptible by the senses of the world. Even so, the Third Angel knew what it was seeing, what amounted to an incomplete picture. Were the angel whole, it would be undoubtedly seen the truth of what lay within. That there was interference at all, however, indicated technology of the Creator and his kind. A voice rang out across the ether, unknowable to all save the Third Angel. Ah, Satchel, you have awoken? Risen manifested. Third Angel paused. My name is indecipherable. Humanity is incapable of pronouncing our true name, our title, identity. Satchel is the closest approximation we have for indecipherable. Likewise, Lilium had christened their mother, creator, source, indecipherable as Lilith. I understand, indecipherable. Can you perceive, feel, experience what I perceive, feel, experience? What? My current form is rather limited in function. It is indecipherable here. Yes, from what I'm able to ascertain, she has been locked away in the Lilium, deep within her home, vessel field, indecipherable. They call it Black Moon. Don't look at me, I'm not part of this. That certainly explained the interference. Black Moon will undoubtedly avert the sight of one incomplete satchel. Can she provide the location of our creator, father, source? Of that I am certain. The Lilium has managed to hide him quite well. She will undoubtedly have the answers we seek. Third Angel, Satchel, audibly acknowledged his kin's words. All who have heard it, the sound fell like a river of a thousand whispers. I shall lose her bindings to attain the answers we seek. The alien will try to stop you. Why? Not sure. Reasoning eludes me. Third Angel suddenly noticed the various shifts and contours about him, focusing on the local freezing of space-time. Third Angel noticed that the nearby concentrations of energy were changing in form and structure. The Lilium were preparing to strike. Cecil's eyes glowed. Then I shall break and annihilate sunder all who stand before me. Violent energy erupted from a massive battery in form of a giant cross, brightening the twilight sky of Tokyo 3. Operations deck. Nerve 1, Tokyo 3. Sir! Military battery A7 has been annihilated! Sub-Director Kosuke Fusuyuki growled at the readout. Group A, mostly comprised of chemically prepared projectile weapons and Nazi-controlled defenses, were already attacking the Angel, to little effect in gaining its attention. The Delta configuration was programmed to unleash its full potential only when an Evagelion was active on the field. Unit 1 was still conspicuously absent. Damn it, Kendo. I know you have a taste for the theatric, but could you hurry up with your son? Running a hand through his thick, combed black hair of smoky gray, Fusuyuki tried to think of a more fruitful way of keeping the Angel occupied. Inspiration hit. Somewhat worrisome inspiration, but an inspiration nonetheless. No time like the present. The sub-director, clad in a neatly pressed brown uniform, was often a picture of sanity and stability around nerve. After all, Professor Ikari's eccentric nature was well documented, as those were Lieutenant Colonel Katsuragi and Dr. Akiki. Needless to say, it provided Nerve's employees, and various governments around the world for that matter, some measure of ease that there was a level-headed adult in Nerve's command center. So when Fusuyuki issued his next command, almost all the bridge technicians belonged. I did not stir, ladies and gentlemen! But we haven't tested him in live combat before. Dr. Akiki had only recently concluded a successful synchronization test with the primary coordinator. We'll have no clue how to perform. He hasn't even had any simulated combat exercises yet. I have documented evidence from Lieutenant Colonel Katsuragi dictating otherwise. Lieutenant Hyuga. Sir, are we really counting arcades? Your objectives are duly noted, Lieutenant, but we're out of options. Plus, from what I've seen in person, I have faith in his ability. Ignoring Lieutenant Hyuga's exasperated gas, Fusuyuki turned a brown-haired woman standing in front of Mazi Terminal. Lieutenant Ibuki, is the system operational? Yes, sir. We're ready to go at any time. Fusuyuki smirked as he stepped forward, eyeing one of the smaller monitors in the Mazi terminal. Blinking on the screen in red is a simple P2. Bringing a hand to his earpiece, the sub-director said, Pen, are you ready? Rawr! I'll take that as a yes. Fusuyuki gazed once more at the vindicated screen, eyeing the third angel as they destroyed a group of stationary mortars. It's time to put Dr. Akiki's system to the test. If you will, Lieutenant Ibuki. Yes, sir! The woman quickly typed in the activation code. P2 flashed on the screen. Launching Gundams! Glyph Node A, Nerve 1, Tokyo 3. Behold! Mankind's ultimate fighting machine! Synthetic life form, Evangelion Unit 01! Until time passed and things changed, since he was grateful that some constants existed. One of them was his father. The only part of the Evangelion that was visible was its head, clad in an indigo helmet fastened after that of a samurai. Two ridges spin from the back of his head towards the front, fanning out and forming thick plates of the jaw. Protruding on the forehead was a similarly colored horn that had a green ring about its base, thin and sharp. It was perfectly capable of goring a battleship. The actual model of the Colossus was a colored powder blue, the jaws shaped to form a monstrous scowl. That the head itself was over 15 feet in diameter didn't help. An unit president would gobble you up at a moment's notice. The rest of 01 was submerged under red coolant, save for the massive shoulder pylons. However, even they were left to be placed in specifically crafted slots in the wall. All in all, given the hydraulic arms that were fixed upon his shoulders, the Evagelion looked more like sealed beast than a weapon of war. Since he wasn't thinking of any of that, nor was paying attention to Dr. Akiki, who had lost in a boisterous speech espousing scientific values capable of generating with a specific high ratio metaphysical construct can render an angel vulnerable to conventional weapons and devices. We decided on bipeds is still fixing, but in the end, Sugar Cube will be vindicated. Eva. Neither was he enjoying the show alongside Misato, who was observing the large orange-clad St. Nielsen scurrying about in the rafters about the chamber, finishing up on the preliminary maintenance. Instead, his focus was exclusively on the eyes of the O1, cream-colored shards of mist black metal, bearing blank pupils that seemed to be looking directly at him, as they always did. No matter how many times he had seen O1 face to face, she would always look back at him. Misato noticed it in Sensei's intense stare. You okay? I mean, I know it was kind of freaky, but I won't bite. When Sensei didn't respond, Lieutenant Colonel became worried. Hey, Asuko, I think he crashed. Immediately following our tirade, the female scientist tapped the side of her cybernetic monocle, turning away from Misato and towards Sensei. Then allow me to press restart! A bright flash erupted from the monocle. Gah! Yelped Sensei as he faltered, nearly blinded by the flash. For some odd reason, the rapidly disappearing spots floating across his vision were shaped like tacos in ears of corn. What was that for? To get your attention. We have no time for blue screens of death. That can come later. Sensei stared incredulously at Misato, who mouthed with, roll with it. Dr. Akiki immediately calmed down, seemingly unaware of an insignificant mirror. At any rate, we don't have much time. The few tremors shook the chamber, indicative of the battle taking place above. We have to get you and O1 moving. I know, it's just... Sensei straightened up, looking back at O1's face. It's just been a long time. It has. That voice. Sensei quickly looked up, eyes gazing upon a well-lit balcony. There was a cloaked figure, silhouetted by the light, but the voice was unmistakable. Father? That moment, all the lights in the room turned off, plummeting into total darkness. What? What happened to the lights? Yelled Sensei. Moments later, they clicked back on. Ah! Shrieked Sensei and fell backwards, startled by the fact that his father was standing right in front of him. But what? What the? How? What? Gendo and Carly merely smirked. Impression made. Mission accomplished. Miss Al stood at attention. Hello, Professor Ikari. I'm escorting the third child of this promise. Excellent work, Kazuragi. I highly suggest that you head to the operations deck and take command of our defense systems. Likewise for you, Dr. Akiki. On the way down, I received word that Fusayuki unauthorized use of the P2 system. Gento's tone in no way resembled a suggestion. This was a nicely worded order. Misala didn't care, quite frankly. Awesome! Time to see my little guy in action! The Lieutenant Colonel nonchalantly gave Sensei a vigorous pound in the back. Good luck. See you on top. Misala ran out to the chamber. Dr. Akiki followed as well, let's contorting to a high smirk. The P2 system. Time to see how the Angel codes with sheer, unadulterated genius. Sensei and Gendo were alone, father and son, mounted on baggage not to their own making, so to speak. It is good to see you again, son. Sensei calmly got to his feet, taking his father's appearance. The uniform was the same as ever. Navy blue khakis with a jacket with golden buttons, overlaying a red turtleneck sweater. The cloak, likewise the same shade of blue, was draped over his shoulders, tied together by a golden chain. Polished black direct shoes gave him a hint of class, whereas the yellow trimming along the rim of the cloak called attention to the most defiant characteristic of his uniform. Save for the glasses, that is. Tinted orange, they had a tendency of preventing one from seeing what Gendo Ikari was thinking. Combined with the brown hair that framed his face, the distinctive eyebrows, and a sturdy facial structure, the impression one got from looking at the spring commander with nerve was one of power and hidden danger. That is, until he did something completely insane. Then he had no idea what to think. Shinji couldn't have him but marvel at how little the man had changed. Still the same. And yet, much has changed, replied Gendo, looking at the various techniques and scurrying around, trying to look as busy as possible for their boss. I'm glad you chose to come. Well, we both made a promise to each other, didn't we? Memories of one last faithful meeting, where their destinies were set to stone. We knew this day would come, didn't we? Yes, I hope our days of peace will be longer.
But mankind no longer has time. Angels return to finish what they started. Jinzy thought of the beast he had seen over the way over to Nerve. Tall, impervious, frighteningly powerful. His radiant mind spoke volumes. I'm going to be the one to face it. Can you handle it? That was the key question, wasn't it? All of his anxiety and nervousness came back with a roar, rooting him to the spot. The Angels, the one responsible for a second impact. On the other hand, there was Evagelion Unit 1, my mother's great invention. The sword that will defeat the Angels, and the shield that will protect humanity. He focused once more on Unit 01's eyes, which were staring directly back at him. Well, you always said he made it with me in mind, isn't that right? A light smile tugging at his lips. Mother. Evagelion gave a small murmur of peril, what sounded like a dull roar echoing through the chamber. Father, have you? No. Answered Gendo, already knowing the answer to Shinji's question. We're no closer to retrieving her than we were last year. Shinji nodded, feeling somewhat morose by the revelation. I see. He scratched the back of his head, trying to banish the awkwardness of the whole topic. The subject of his mother was, needless to say, extremely touchy. Gendo returned to his gaze to Unit 01, his stage and self-control hiding the deep longing he felt. For now, we can only fight the Angels. Once this is all over, we will meet her again. That would have to be enough for now. It was an odd thing to be trusted with the fate of mankind, be trusted with the use of the very weapon that had taken his mother's life. Yet, remnants of his mother remained, in the form of the pseudo-sapient consciousness of the Evangelion itself. She would always be beside him in battle. His mother would always be there, alongside Nerve. He accepted the reality of how things were years ago. Facing that reality now, however, I think I can handle it. Your vice is appreciated, now leave me be. Sensing Gendo turned slowly approaching from the corridors. Sergeant Iami, just hold on! Let me see the new arrival. But your wounds will be over and I won't have any qualms reporting you for the insubordination! Sensing blinked, Gendo raised an eyebrow in idle curiosity. That's when a girl walked out onto the catwalk, outpacing her exasperated medic. Left side was bandaged heavily, her arm free only to grab the crutch that was to be used for assistance. Her right side was relatively unmarred. Under the tan military fatigues was a white bodysuit source, but what caught Sissy's attention were the blue hair and wide eyes of what was left uncovered. It was a side combination that he hadn't seen before, but it seemed artificial in any way. Yes, he would say she was quite pretty. Judging by the stern glare, she wasn't that happy. She stood sulkily in front of him, taking his appearance with a perceptive glaze. So, you are the professor's son. Her voice was cold, laced with casual scorn. Her disposition screamed, I am superior to you. Since he tried his hardest not to flinch. Yes! She calmly grabbed his chin, tilting his way about, poked and prodded, examining his lips with a free hand of methodic, analytic fashion. All the while she murmured words like scrawny, lack of sophisticated musculature, what was more like thinking. It was as though he were a slab of meat being handled over in the market, even in her cool and mostly bereft tone of voice. The whole process was somewhat degenerating, rather annoying. Miss, You will be quiet! Snapped the blue-haired girl. What experience have you had with the Evangelion? How many virtual simulations have you engaged in? How much combat training have you had personally? Susie blinked in the interrogation. Well, I've known about Evangelion for a long time. But I've never been exactly inside it, but... You must be joking. The girl shook her head, clearly in disbelief. She turned towards Gendo, who had been watching the scene in silence. A spectator to yet another comedy produced by Nerve. Professor Icardi, I must protest! We cannot send out a pilot with no experience! You are too injured to pilot effectively. Ergo, Shinji will be the pilot. But sir! Shinji impulsively recoiled at the sound of the air horn being blown in the girl's face. To her credit, she didn't even buzz. She necessarily stopped, if unplugged. Gendo Carly placed the air horn back in the folds of his cloak. Listen once, Shinji. To grab everyone's attention, you must be at least 40 decibels louder than everyone else in the room. Yes, sir! Reflexively replied Shinji, too bewildered by what had just occurred. Boom! An air blast from the Angel rocked Tokyo 3 above. Explosive vibrations caused the light overhead fixtures to quiver. Moments later, cables holding them up snapped under the tension. Shinji impulsively pulled the blue-haired girl towards the ground, propping himself between her and the lights. Gendo did not move. A flash of white light. The sound of wrenching metal, reinforced halogens against something thick and unyielding. Since he opened an eye, boggled.
The armor of Unit 01, attached to broken cables and pipes, blocked the lights. It was a mere few away from crossing in upon itself. The girl and Gendo. Whoa. Mother, was that you? One of the technicians yelled in shock. The Ava activated itself! Broke right out of the right arm restraint! A small file flashed across Gendo's face. Was expected. Maybe for his sake, The medic stared at it from afar. Jaw slack with shock. He didn't work at nerve long enough without knowing how certain things work. What the Evagelion did was clearly impossible. It moved, without a pilot. It seems that the Angel's begun to break through the armored layers. Hopefully the P2 system can keep it sufficiently occupied long enough to prepare Unit 01. Gendo looked calmly down at the girl, who was none too happy about impulsively protected by Shinji. Sergeant Ayame, this boy will be the pilot. Understood? Shinji looked down at the now named Ayame. The girl said nothing as she quietly separated herself from him, standing up with a fair bit of difficulty. The blue-haired girl looked down at him with disapproval, and oddly enough, some measure of curiosity. Sir! Yes, sir! With crossed hand, she quietly walked back towards the medic. Shinji stared at her, slowly walked away, confused and oddly bewildered. This was getting a pattern with a woman of nerve, he briefly noted, by Ayami's reaction to his mere presence. That was odd. Did the first meeting have to end like this? Ayame! The girl stopped. That's Sergeant Ayame. She looked back at Shinji, who, despite being on the ground, looked at her with results she did not expect. What is it? I know what was waiting me here. I know for a long time that coming back meant I have to fight. Shinji willed up his determination. He acknowledged this for years. Despite his fear, misgivings regarding Unit 01, despite the pain that would be undoubtedly waiting for him, there was no choice but to move forward. There's no other way. I didn't come just to run away, so don't worry! Ayame stared impassively. She kept walking, seemingly unimpressed. Speeches won't defeat the angel. Once again in the company of medic, the sergeant left the chamber. Shinji exhaled, feeling exhausted after everything that had happened. But he hadn't gotten to the Ava yet. I won't run away. I won't run away. I won't! A hand, close and white, came into field of vision. Shinji gazed up at Gendo, who was looking down on a small vase. Are you ready to help save the world? He had survived the first encounter with the third angel, survived Misato Kazuragi's driving, survived the bipolar, nothing convinced us he wasn't bipolar, nothing. Ritsuko Akaki, and the chilly Sergeant Ayame. She had been saved from certain death by the machine of war, and now housed what little remained of his mother. Yet, in spite of all that, was that single statement to help steal Shinji's mind. Even if he had no choice but to go forward to the unknown, so much easier to do with someone by his side. Yes, Shinji answered without hesitation. I'm ready. Without hesitation, he clutched his father's hand. To be continued. Well, this was certainly an interesting fic. Well, interesting first chapter at least. You know, one thing I always said about things that adapt stories like this or pull something off like that, you gotta understand that there are some people out there who have not read what you're talking about. Like, for instance, I have this vow to never, ever, ever watch anything related to Ava! I will not! Okay! I know it sounds weird considering that Fall Starfleet is basically a deconstruction of everything that Micah has ever done, but nope! Never seen Ava, I will never watch Ava, and I will die before I watch Ava. So, you gotta make sure that the story is somehow good to keep me invested. And even though I had never seen Ava, this actually made me interested. The characters seemed good, and even I could tell that everybody was different somehow. The story was like trying to show what Ava would be like if it was a typical super robot anime. Complete with differences in characters and modifications. It felt really interesting to see. Now, the big question is, has this changed my opinion about Ava and will I go watch it? Well, it has convinced me to watch something. The Loud House! The Loud House! 1 boy, 10 girls wouldn't change it for the world. I told you I'm not going to watch Ava, and there ain't nothing that's going to change it. One down, thousands more to go. See ya next time.